Hey, you're listening to Journey to Truth podcast. This is our second pop-up podcast. The first one was with Tim Sanders. This is something a little new we're trying, which we explained in the last one. But today we are joined by Susan Walter. And Susan is an intuitive, visionary artist. After near-death experiences as a child, Susan was given the ability to see into the angelic realms, allowing her to see angels in their pure light form. She uses this ability to draw your angels, portrait, and relay messages and insights from your angels. Susan is also an artist, author of Solfeggio Mandela Activation Guides and meditation decks, assisting us to realign with our original blueprint. She also creates healing art with a conscious heart from her visions during meditation. This is her way of connecting with the divine and to assist humanity to do the same and recognize the divine within ourselves and each other's. That's pretty amazing stuff. Susan, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. I've been watching you guys for probably about 3 or 4 months, so it's a real honor to be on your show.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're glad to have you. So I guess let's just jump into it and let's explain to people who you are, which I just did, but kind of explain the process in your art and how you came into learning this ability or discovering this.
Like you said, I had NDEs as a small child, and during the life-saving surgeries that I had to go through, I went someplace else. To me, it looks like the most beautiful garden you could possibly imagine. Trees that were just massive, probably like what we would equate to redwoods today, though at the young age and growing up on a farm in Iowa, I had no idea what that was. And was introduced to these beings that, they had to been, 15 feet tall, and even they couldn't touch the branches of the trees. And there was just, all these beautiful flowers and animals just kind of every place. And I don't remember seeing any other beings other than the 3 main angels that were there at that time. But and just after experiencing that, I was just able to see them all the time.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you see them you see them all the time, or you have to be consciously looking for them?
No, as a child, and as I was growing up, no, I didn't. They were just there. But I was only able to see my own until 97. And then in 97, I just started noticing that I wasn't seeing just my own, I was seeing everybody else's. And then, of course, the first thing is like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
And so there was an argument that went on for several months because I wasn't in the least bit busy with 2 teenage sons and 2 toddlers at that time. And one other minor detail, I didn't know how to draw. I had no idea. So I really kind of consider myself to be angel taught.
Yeah, well, your artwork is beautiful. And we'll put some of it up while this is airing. We'll have it pop up. So people can check it out. And I imagine that's some of your art behind you. So clearly it looks like you've definitely learned how.
And just continue to experiment with different things and different mediums all the time.
That's amazing.
Beautiful.
So if someone wanted to come to you and have, I guess, what do you offer to people?
So now I do the angel portraits for people. And I can do that. My first choice is always to do it in person, but that's not always possible. I can do it. I've been doing it from photo for a long time, but I recently started doing it via Zoom, just like this as well. So, and those can be we can schedule those anytime.
So what do you see behind us right now?
And I have kind of learned how to tone the volume down just a little bit, just because, going to the grocery store and doing simple everyday stuff got to be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
So now I've learned that I just see these balls of color that's just constantly moving until I have the intention of setting with somebody with whatever medium. But and then just one will step forward and take shape and define color. So they choose which one I'm supposed to draw.
Oh, wow. That's
The
interesting.
angels do.
And I've heard other people who have abilities like that, empaths. A friend of mine actually, her brother passed away, and it seemed like it unlocked something in her. She like became a medium. She was getting all these voices, but she couldn't go in public because she was getting bombarded with all these voices in her head, and she would panic, and she didn't know how to control it. So that's something that I think you should touch on and tell people how you were able to turn that down and, you know, at least exist in the mainstream, in public, without having to be going into a panic attack.
Yeah, it took a little practice. And one of the first things I did is ask them to help me with that. And they were, so my personal angels that helped me, do this, for other people and help other people connect in this way have been the ones that have helped me do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it took time. It took a few years.
Do you have any advice or anything that you could tell someone?
The first thing I would say is to incorporate a meditation practice and start talking to your angels on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's crucial. Yeah. That's something we all need to work on. I still do. It's hard to make it a habit. You need to make something a habit. I remember sometimes, but do I think about it all the time? No. And that's really where the challenge is.
Yeah, and it's not just always asking for help either. Make sure you acknowledge and thank for the help that you do receive. I think that it's like the more gratitude that you have for what help you do receive, it's the more likely they are to continue with that help and assistance.
Yeah. So do you have to give them permission to help? How does that work? Because I've heard like people can ask, and you can ask all you want, but you also have to give them permission. Or is asking giving permission?
And to me, asking is giving permission. But if you feel like if that's what you feel like you need to do it. Yeah. And I think after a while, the more you work with them, the easier that communication is going to get.
Yeah. So I'm curious about these 15-foot tall beings that you saw.
Yeah, those are just three of my main personal angels. Most people just talk about the archangels, of Michael, Raphael, but those angels are ones that they will come and go as needed. But your personal ones will stay with you at all times. They might occasionally go ahead of you to lay things out and make sure they happen in the way that is in your best and highest good. Sometimes they might stay at home, but they're still going to be within your, where you're moving and traveling. And you do have one that's I refer to as your main guardian angel. And when I draw them, this one always reveals themselves as having a breastplate. But they are the ones that have been with you not just this lifetime, but all of your lifetimes in physical form.
That's amazing. So I guess synchronicity, the numbers and all these other signs, like what are ways, let's just say someone is totally new to this and they're just now tuning in. What are signs they can look for that might be their guides or their angels trying to communicate with them?
And a lot of times it can be the triple digits. And you can see them on the clock and license plates. Yeah, I've seen them on the gas pump when I was getting gas, different numbers pop up. When I'm at the grocery store, and you go to pay your bill, and it tends to, that happens to me all the time. But I know I also get messages in music a lot, especially, when you just jump in the car and you turn on the radio. Usually, within 5 minutes, there's something I get, some sort of message. And usually a lot of it's just, a reminder that they're there and we're here to support you. And sometimes it can be a little reminder too of a lesson that you're working on, something you're trying to learn at this point in your life. And
Yeah.
all of us, I think, are going through, our patience is being tried right now because we're, taking our patience to another level.
Yeah. It's a test for everyone right now.
It is.
Like Aaron says, or who said it? It's what did you, a dark night of the soul, a collective,
collective dark
night
of
of the soul.
It is, in a way, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, I want to stick on the synchronicity thing for a little bit because it's something that I had to learn on my own for a long time, and you finally figure out that if we can help steer people in the right direction. So if you do see numbers, like, what can that mean? Like you said, does that mean they're just reminding you that they're there and you can call on them? And then obviously certain numbers mean different things, and you can look that up online. Or sometimes you're told to be mindful of what you're thinking at that exact moment you saw those numbers. So what are your thoughts on that?
The numbers, because it all relates to frequency too. And that's the solfeggio work that I've done as well, because the solfeggio frequencies, which are all based on Pythagorean math and stuff, but they're all numbers that add up to 3, 6, or 9. Well, you do those triple digits, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, they're all going to add up to 3, 6, or 9 as well. And each one of those frequencies, can assist us in different ways, as well. And as well as just reminding us that we have the support.
Okay.
Yeah. We're never alone. There's somebody that's got our back.
I fully believe that. Ask Aaron. We have visible orbs in this house.
We both see orbs constantly in this house.
And it's something that wasn't always visible to me, but I think at a certain point, they're either allowing you to see them or you've risen to a frequency to where they're just visible. I don't really know, but
I've never seen them with my naked eye until, at ECETI was the first time, and then here. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of that too is we're collectively raising our frequency, as well as the frequency of the planet is raising as we are moving through this. This as well as we're traveling through a certain section of space that is assisting us with that moving us into a faster frequency. I really don't think of it so much as higher and lower. It's more faster and slower.
Interesting. Yeah, which is the case, because vibration is all speed.
Yeah, but the higher lower to human brain insinuates that something is better than something else.
And worse.
It's really not. It's just different.
Yeah. To me, it's more of like it's like the lower vibration that we would call the lower is like, it's just more ignorance is all it is.
It's denser.
It's less connection to the divine, which is what makes up everything. But it's denser and it's less aware is another way to put it. That's really all.
The heart opens up. When you get into the faster frequencies, the heart opens up. And when that takes place, because then you're connecting the heart brain with, the filing cabinet up here. And then just so much more, opens up and starts happening,
exactly.
On a spiritual level at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you see these colors, these orbs or these balls of color behind people, are you getting any information with that at the same time? Like, are there names? Is it a passed away loved one? Is it what's going on there? Do you receive any of that type of information?
I do get messages when I'm not one in the regular, walking around at the grocery store and stuff. I don't anymore. I did used to, but that's been part of the continuing to working on turning the volume down for me. But I do get messages and names when I do somebody's angel portrait. The names, though, to pronounce their full names would take about 15 to 20 minutes.
Wow.
And they're very tonal, almost musical. The solfeggio frequencies are pretty much their how they communicate with each other. That's their natural language. So the names that they give me, because we need something shorter than that 15 to 20 minutes, they spell for me a piece of that. And the pronunciation then is up to the person. I am never to pronounce it for somebody. And they're not usually names like Ruth or Bob, or, they're very unique. That's the best way I can describe it. And as far as if they are somebody's family members, no, they are typically, would be extremely rare. This is very seldom do angels take physical form. But a family member could possibly become a spirit guide, because a spirit guide is, it is very rare that they have not taken physical form. And that's why angels don't always understand things like time very well, because they've not experienced it. Where a spirit guide is going to be much more helpful with things like, though if you're asking your angels for help and there is, say, a time frame involved, give them the full date. Don't just say Friday. Give them the actual date of, May 1st, 2020.
Yeah.
For example, that's much more helpful for them. To understand where we're at.
Yeah, and it's funny you say they don't grasp time that well, because so many of the like channeled messages that come through, like when they say soon all the time, like when something's going to happen, it's going to be happening soon. Well, what is soon?
Soon to them could be
soon to them, because they don't fully understand the difference between tomorrow and 3-4 years from now. They don't fully understand that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So soon could be 5 years from now, because if they can, if they're aware of their past lives and just a mass infinity of it all, then that would seem like it's soon, 5 years from now, in the grand scheme of things, if you were to look at it on a visible timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you read the law of one, Ross says he says, I forget how he words it, but he basically says we have a hard time interpreting your time, basically your concept of time or space time, or however they put it, because they're outside of that. So it's like it's hard for them to really grasp it, whereas we're inside of it, experiencing it. So
that's part of being in the denser, slower frequencies that we're in right now, but and moving out of or moving into a different frequency is what we're part of what we're going through.
Yeah.
So do the colors that you see mean anything different?
Yes, they do. They relate to different lessons and different energies that the angels are trying to bring into your life. And I know when I do an angel portrait for someone, they get a piece of paper that says that, but all that information's on my website too. But I'm going to be honest, I intentionally do not remember what that piece of paper says, so that when I'm setting with someone, I do not project. Because there's been people where I've done multiple angel portraits for them at this point, because we've all got minimum 3 angels with us. And so I don't want to project anything on anybody. So I intentionally don't remember what that piece of paper says.
Sure. Now, do you see, you might have already answered this, but do you see faces? Can you actually see faces, or is it just...
No, I don't. And I used to ask a lot of that, ask why about that. And they always said it's because I see them more in their pure light form. Yeah, because to me, it's like looking at, you imagine that ray of sunshine that comes down between the clouds, how you can visibly see that ray of sunshine. That's kind of how I see them. And that's how transparent they are when I see them as well. So I do draw them a little more intensely than I see them.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it makes sense, though, to be able to see the light form, because I think if they're not here in the physical, they might not have a face. We don't really know. I mean, they have a face. I don't know what
well, they might not.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that orb shape is more where they're the most comfortable. And it's like then taking different shapes, whether that being the shape that I see them, or even when they once in a while will even take that step to make a physical, a human shape. I think it takes energy to do that.
Yeah, it does.
So they're just like us. They're gonna stay in the most comfortable state that they can.
Whenever
that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And when I first started getting into all this stuff years ago, I would always listen to experiencers, testimonies and stuff, and certain people who were connected. And they would say that, if something did manifest and you were able to see something physically, there must be a reason, a really good reason that because it's not easy for them, allegedly, it's not easy for them to take form here because it's so dense, and they're not, it actually takes a lot of energy for them to do
right. That. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy is the best way to describe that.
Yeah, so if you do see something, they're probably trying to, open your eyes.
Yeah, they're trying to hit you up beside the head with a clue by 4.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Okay, so there's so many questions. The whole extraterrestrial side, do you think angels and ETs are the same thing? Spirit guides?
Yeah, I think ETs are kind of, they will function in a frequency that's in between where we are and where the angels are, as far as the speed of that frequency. I think they function in a very fast frequency or dimension, or whatever you want to word that, where ETs what we think of as ETs function at somewhere in between. And it depends on where they are in that development, even which frequency they are functioning at.
Yeah. Go ahead, you say something?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, you hear about experiencers and just people witnessing UFOs pop in and out, like they're just appearing and disappearing. Well, it's because they're lowering their frequency to appear to us in this dimension, and then but their natural dimension is probably like 5D or whatever you want to call it, above whichever one above us. But they're able to lower their vibration to appear to us. But it's probably like you said, it probably takes a lot of energy for them to do that. So it's not like maybe they can't stay here for that long, and then they have to go back, or like, who knows? But yeah, that's why you hear about like interdimensional beings is what so many ETs.
Yeah, I've had some of those ET experiences too.
Yeah, Tyler, you had one right over there in his basement.
I've had
inner Earth.
Yeah, I've had quite a few, which people who've listened might have heard me talk about some of them, and I realized that like it's not that unique. I thought at first I'm like, oh my god, I'm special, but then you realize it just happens.
Well, it depends on which crowd you're traveling with, how unique it is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's only because
Would you be interested in touching on some of your experiences?
The one for me that was the most vivid was, as a kid, I was probably 8, maybe 9. And it was about this time of year. And my parents were gone, and we had a babysitter at the house because I'm the oldest, and I had a brother at the time who was a handful, and he was still 3. But I was upstairs in my room. I was getting ready for bed, and I look out, and it's just about dusk. And I see this being walk out of our garage. And it's tall enough that it actually had to duck its head to walk out of the garage. And then it's like it noticed that, somehow sensed that I could see it. And it looked up at me. It's like we just locked eyes, and I don't know how long we stood there just staring at each other. And then something clicked in my brain, and all of a sudden I'm going and telling the babysitter that there's somebody out in the garage. I didn't tell him what I saw. I just said that there was somebody out there, because something clicked that this wasn't right. or wasn't normal.
Yeah.
But it was now that I've seen people talk about different. It's probably what's referred to as a tall white.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. That's really cool. That you're able to see that. Like my experiences are all at night, like or in some type of a dream state, or sometimes it's not, but it just seems like it happens at night. To be able to have one in broad daylight like that is what it seems like. That has to be. Well, you were also a kid too, and I think kids can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kids tend to be more open.
Yeah. Well, my grandmother just passed away, and my little niece is 2. And she, just the other day, she was like, "Oh, Grandma's sitting on the couch." And they're like, "No, she's not." And she's like, "Yeah, she's sitting right over there on the couch." And they're like, "Really?" And like, can we talk to her? And she's like, "No." Well, I wasn't actually there, but my dad and my sister told me the story. But she was seen, and it's not coincidence that my grandmother just passed, and then all of a sudden she's seeing her on the couch. But so I think that children really do. Well, the veil is thinner for them for some reason.
It also explains why kids can remember their past lives, and they'll start saying things. You're like, where are you getting this information? And they've actually, there was a guy that like did a bunch of like he talked to a whole like thousands of kids, and they all would say these very specific details of their past lives, and then they'd go look it up, and they'd be accurate, and they'd find the people. And even those like descriptions of how they looked was accurate and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But like for some reason it's like kids, it's like before they get programmed out of that, before they like get kind of programmed into the matrix, so to speak, and they kind of like lose those natural abilities. They just naturally can see things, and
I heard something like around age 7 is when the programming really kicks in, and they kind of you're honestly, I mean, we keep saying programming, but you're programmed away from those abilities. They shift your focus on stuff that really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter, and that's how we live our lives out, thinking that all this stuff is important when it's really totally unnecessary.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of that come to the surface now, and these things don't add up.
I think school is a huge part of that, because think about it.
Yes.
That's right after the age when
that's what I mean.
Being in school, and they're preoccupied now with that, and they're taught this is what reality is, and this is what's important, what you need to
learn.
Yeah. It's right about that time where they, shortly after going to school for the full day.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
So have you ever come across somebody when you're trying to see their angel? Have you ever seen any negative entities or negative forces around somebody?
I very early on asked that I not see things like that unless, or have negative, information to give somebody, unless I could do something to be of assistance to help, if there's something, say, about an illness or an accident, that I not see that unless I could do something to help or prevent that. I have seen beings that they're more neutral, where, that have been, they're with somebody to help them through a certain experience or learn a certain lesson, but they're not invested one way or the other.
Sure.
But and there, sometimes people project that, an angel is negative because, they've been trying to hit them upside the head with that 2x4, and that person hasn't been getting it. So they put, a big event that we, in our human perspective, think of as negative, for example, a car accident, to try and get them to slow down and take better care of themselves. And, we view it as negative, but we finally learned the lesson that we need to take better care of our physical body.
That's a fantastic point. I'm glad you said that.
Kind of like this pandemic right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's upset about it disrupting their lives, but what's it doing?
what
you
does,
know, yeah, we're reconnecting with our families and our friends and
Exactly.
reevaluating who, what, you know, and how we spend our time, you know, what things are in our life, how we, you know, what we do.
What's
You know,
really
we're
important.
evaluating all that stuff right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's that catalyst. You know, like you said, the car accident might be a catalyst for that person, but it's like a planet-wide catalyst. It's really,
Mm-hmm.
and as negative as it might appear to be, I really think a lot of positive stuff is going to come out of this.
Yeah, that potential is definitely there, and it's up to us if that's what we want to create.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the more of us focusing on that and stepping into doing that in our personal lives, the more that's going to be projected in the world around us.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
You create your own reality. We say it all the time, but once you know once you realize you have that power, it's not so outlandish anymore. You can do test. You can start, okay, I'm going to try something, and you can see the results, and you can start working with that and really create what you need and what you want.
Yeah.
Our choices are so important, and starting with your attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'm curious. So did you say you had 2 near-death experiences?
Yeah, one at 4 and a second one at 6.
Wow.
Yes.
Young.
That's, yeah.
Jeez.
And how vivid are those memories? Is it?
I'm sure I've lost pieces of the experience over time, but they're still fairly vivid.
Yeah. Is there anything like in particular that you saw that is just like you never forgot?
And because when I was a kid, I was we were pretty much free to roam the farm, and you went back to the house when it was bedtime when you were hungry, pretty much. Yeah. And I was notorious for finding the nest of baby rabbits and baby mice and turtles or whatever. So one of the main things that they just to kind of occupy me through the experience and to make me feel comfortable, they asked me if I wanted to see the world through the eyes of the animals. So and it started out, it's like I went from animal to animal, starting out with animals I was familiar with, growing up on the farm. But and I eventually ended up, in an experience where I was, actually swimming in the sea, and it's like I just kept getting into larger and larger animals. So I must have been in a whale, and then all of a sudden I'm out, and from there it's like I'm not swimming in the ocean anymore, I'm swimming in space. And then they took me back to what it must have been before I took physical form, took on these gloves. It's like I was going off somewhere with my group of other beings, which I can only now relate to also as being other angels. Was going to be an angel, and there was a group of me and 2 others that were pulled back going, hey, wait a minute, we want you to come do this. Okay. And we were shown how things would go if we stepped in to assist, and how things would go if we didn't. I did obviously chose to, come here and assist and be what they called a planet creator. The other 2 beings chose not to.
That's incredible.
And I remember, that is probably some of the most vivid part. The second one, I do vaguely remember asking about things they were telling me in Sunday school that to me didn't make sense. Like I couldn't, and one of the questions I was always asking at Sunday school was, how long is God's day? And because it didn't make sense to me that because God's bigger than us. So God's day must be longer than ours. That's what, in my child mind, that's made sense to me.
He created time, so how can he be bound by time?
Right.
That makes sense.
That just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was always like, I grew up in church. I grew up in a Baptist church in a very Christian family.
Literally in the basement of a church.
Literally in the yeah. No.
Yeah, I grew up in Lutheran, so.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. Pretty similar. So yeah, I remember like probably around like middle school age where like we first really started asking questions of like, okay, all the scientists are saying the Earth is like millions or billions of years old, and there seems to be like, but God says it's only 60. You created in 6 days. What's up with? And then the answer was always, well, a day to God could be thousands of years. You know, he's not bound by his own.
Well, you just
creation.
answered her question.
Yeah, and that always made sense to me. And I was always like, oh, okay, because but then there was like the people that believe no, Earth was literally made in 6,000 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is not. I mean, yeah. The evidence points to that absolutely not being true, but it's like it's not. That's when it comes down to like. That was kind of my first ever like time where I was like, oh, you can like interpret things in a different way. It's not like, things that were taught to me. It's up to me to interpret like, what does that mean? Not just like accept what I'm told it is,
Yeah.
Like,
I want to ask you about your experience. You said you were like seeing through the eyes of a whale, and then eventually like you were underwater, and then you were in outer space in the universe.
Yeah.
And we've heard, whales and dolphins are extraterrestrial, and I've heard that they, reside in other planets, and they literally portal hop underwater. And people have claimed to witness dolphins and whales disappearing like that. And people who've touched in tune are in tune, like Joan Ocean in Hawaii. Claims that she's been told that they live in Europa, under the ice in Europa. There's a whole whale dolphin civilization there. So the fact that you say you were seeing through the eyes of a whale and then you were in space all of a sudden is really interesting to me, because what if you did go through that portal and they were trying to show you that, we don't just exist here. And that's really hard for people to wrap their heads around, the possibility of that. But I really think there's something to it.
I agree. I really do.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to kind of wrap my head around that part of the experience. And to be honest, I'm not sure I fully have yet. Sure.
And it's just, how can you? It's really, it's maybe you're not supposed to. I don't know. I don't know.
I look forward to when I'll be able to.
Yeah.
Whenever that is.
Yeah. It's so just real quick on the dolphin and whale thing. While I was in Hawaii last year and swimming with the dolphins, and they were telling us stories. Like, well, for one, if you look down, it's like you could almost see like these orbs like in the water. It was really cool. And there was like a light source like down below, like it was like a source of light, but you couldn't tell where it was coming from. It was really weird. It seemed like it should be pitch black when you look down, but it wasn't. And they would all tell stories of seeing, the mainstream tells us that dolphins go, they don't know where they go at night. Nobody knows where they go at night. Nobody actually knows what they feed on. Like, besides from like some small documented accounts, we all take it for granted because we feed them fish at the zoo. But in the wild, and people have claimed to see them enter these just disappear, come and go through these portals. So at night, maybe they're heading back to Europa.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, I know I went way off there. Sorry.
Yeah, and I know one of the things I've thought about too is, and when they are allowed to be in the wild, and they're and they feed more on what's referred to in some of the ancient texts as prana, or light energy, where that they actually, those that are in captivity are being forced to function at a little bit slower frequency, and that's when they take on
Makes sense.
Eating fish or whatever it is. We feed, humans feed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the people, the testimony of people who've gone and swam in that water in Hawaii with the dolphins, all have like miraculous healings take place. A lot of people.
I've heard stories like that. It's not something I've been able to experience just yet.
Yeah.
I look forward to doing that at some point.
Yeah. But it's just something that what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot more to them, and they're a lot more intelligent than I think we give them credit for.
Their brains are actually larger than ours. So, if nothing else, their file cabinet's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they have the sonar. Obviously, they can see with the sonar and everything. But, okay, man, I'm going to keep going on this.
And I've heard stories of people like telepathically communicating with the dolphins.
Yeah.
And tell empathically, where you can like pick up on what they're feeling, and then they're feeling what you're feeling. And
well, according to something I heard Corey Good say in an old Cosmic Disclosure, is that they would do tests with dolphins like off planet. They would have these facilities where they would set up mazes for the dolphin, and it would be pitch black, and they would see if they would, they would always get through. There was a dead end one way. There was like 5 dead ends and one way out. And after the first time of finding their way through just via sonar, they would change it up. They wanted to know if they could figure it out. If they were just, they realized that there's an intuitive ability there. They would know, they would always know the right way to go after a certain point. They just knew which way was open even when they would change it, which isn't, again, in theory, that's what's happening.
Yeah, and I think humans have those abilities too. We're just learning how to use them.
Yeah.
And just like any other, anything you want to do, you need to practice. And that's part of what I think meditation is going to, is something that can help you, can be the first steps of learning how to do things like that. You've got to learn how to listen.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. I think we all have those abilities. I really do.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
Yeah, and it's so easy to never know about it either. You see some of these magicians out there who are doing really miraculous stuff. I know some of it's just purely sleight of hand illusion, but some stuff. Right. I wonder if some of these people are actually tapping into these abilities, and it's just a normal ability they just discovered, and it's not really magic. I don't know.
Yeah,
and
I agree. Well, that's like, we all, like you said, we all actually have these abilities. We're just, we're kind of like in a dumbed down state where it's been like, the knowledge has been lost somehow, and we have to like come into that. And it takes practice, like you said, and it takes will and,
some intent and a little bit of time.
But it will happen if you stick with it. And it's like, we're all psychic. We just have
all psychic. We're all empathic.
Yeah. We're all empathic. We're all intuitive.
And that's a great point too. You can't just like sit down one time and try it and then have no success and give up. I think it's about proving to yourself and proving to your guides who might be able to help you also with that, proving to whoever, the universe, prove that you are determined and that you really are serious about this. The same way with making contact, if you're really seeking ET contact, and there's ways to achieve that by putting yourself in the right state and meditating. But if you do it one time and give up, it's like, you're not proving to anybody anything. You have to be consistent and show them that you're serious. And this is what you want to do. And you want to tap into these abilities. You want to be that person that can help. And not just by tapping into the ability, what am I trying to say? You don't want to just do it selfishly. You want to do it also to help other people. And if you show them that, I think that's where you start seeing results.
Yeah. And one of the things people need to know too, is there's many different types of ways to meditate. Just because if one method doesn't work for you, just try a different method. And I know I don't use the same method every single day, because if I did, I'd get bored. So I'll do different methods at different times, just to change things up. Walking in nature can be a meditation. Running the vacuum cleaner, because that gives you some white noise, and everybody has a tendency to leave you alone when you're vacuuming.
Yeah.
I used to do that when my kids were little, because otherwise, it was always, Mom, I need this. Well, when I was vacuuming, everybody left me alone. So it was that was a type of meditation at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So don't get stuck in one method. Try different things.
Mm-hmm. And somebody once told me that you don't, like you just said it, you don't have to close your eyes to meditate, especially if you're like
or sit in the lotus position, or
if you're sitting on a private beach and you're looking at the waves, or you're laying in the sand and there's like a palm tree and you can just watch that leaf blowing in the wind, like that can be your meditation. Mm-hmm. You can take in the beauty. You don't have to close your eyes to that all the time.
Yeah, you can look at a beautiful painting. You can an image of something that if there's a picture of someplace you want to be, so you can kind of visualize being there, if that's what you'd like to. Music, different types of music can be very meditative, different frequencies.
Staring into a fire, or staring at a candle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, sometimes you see shapes in fire. If you take pictures of fires, sometimes it's like clouds. There's always some type of shape there. So you stare long enough, you really start getting you start zoning out. It's really...
Yeah, one of the most profound meditations I ever did was staring in the stars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, whenever you stare long enough, it's like... distance, it's kind of like you can't tell how far away it is or how close it is, kind of just all starts merging together. I don't know, it's just, maybe that's just my experience with it.
You become one with everything.
So is there anything else about your artwork in particular that we didn't touch on that you want people to know about?
Oh, we've talked about so many things in this short time.
We did.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything in particular right off the top of my head.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to reach you, they find you on the website or your Facebook page, or?
I am on Facebook and Instagram. I've just started being a little more active with my YouTube channel. But you can find links to all that on my website, which is SusanWalterArt.com.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
And I'm probably more than likely going to reach out to you for my own session. I'm very curious.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah. And so you're just so people who don't know, the artwork, we'll be putting it up on the screen. So you're painting a figure that you see standing behind somebody, essentially.
The angel portraits, I draw those with color pencil on watercolor paper that has, I do a watercolor wash ahead of time on the paper. So even what color paper they guide me to use has meaning even, and something that I've only been seeing for a little over a year now, because this continues to evolve for me as well. But I'm now starting to see some sort of light language, and it usually starts at the throat and goes down the center of the body. And that's always a message from the angels to your higher self. So it's not something you need to consciously know what it means. But that's just adding a whole new level to what I've been doing.
Yeah. Sorry, my dogs just started barking and I got distracted. That's what I was going to say. That was going to be my next question. The light language or symbols. I was going to ask you if you got any symbols came through that you were able to actually paint or draw, but you kind of just answered that.
Yeah, I've been just doing that for a little over a year now. So.
Yeah,
Nice.
Well, that's super awesome that you're tapping into that ability and doing something with it, because I think it's really exciting, that if somebody has a place to reach out and do this, and just by you providing your service, it could really kickstart somebody on their path. Like, wow, this is really something. There's really something to this. So thank you for doing that.
We all have, our abilities, and it's, we really need to bring them forth and share them with each other at this time, because it's part of what's going to help us through these changes. And I mean, I'm not just thinking about, what's going on, in front of us in the news and things right now, but the energetic part of the changes that we're going through. That's, I think, the most important part of what, all this is about.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And so
Same.
We kind of touched on what's happening right now with this whole plandemic is what people are calling it.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny. We have to come up with new ways to say things now so we don't get censored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's true. I like the fact that you're focusing on the energetic level of it. I've been saying this a lot. It's so easy to get caught up in like all this surface level stuff that I think in a very short period of time, people are going to look back and realize like it might not have been worth the energy to really be getting that involved into every little move and thing that's taking place every day. And, this news article and this is happening, it's exciting. People want to know what's going on, but also we're forgetting about the big picture. Not everybody, but you know where I'm going with this.
Right. Yeah. Let's not get stuck on that little screen that, hangs on the wall and what's going on in there and what's generally referred to as the mainstream. Yeah. Don't get stuck on that. There's so much more going on behind the scenes that, because anytime the news is talking about this thing over here, there's something else going on over here that they don't want us to look at. But don't even get stuck on that. Focus on this.
Yes.
And connecting with the other people that are important in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And I know, and I agree with that for one big reason is because there's so much information out there, and there's people I love listening to, and there's certain places I go for this information. But
I do too.
And I get to certain points where I almost just totally lose a desire to seek it out. I just like, even though I want to hear, it's like I'm being guided away from it temporarily. Like it's not necessary. You need to go outside, go on a hike, go do this. Doesn't matter if you're up to date with every little thing. It's just, it's something, it's just really something I've noticed that, it's nice to take a break from that. Or sometimes I'm just guided. I'm like, I just can't sit here and watch this or listen to this right now. As much as I want to, I should want to know about this. I'm just not being guided towards it. It's interesting how it works.
Yeah, it's not the most important thing that's taking place.
Mm-hmm. So what is?
Connecting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Connect, not just with each other, but with ourselves, because so many of us have even forgotten who we are, or only focus on, our roles as a mother or a father or a friend. We need to focus on, the relationship with ourselves too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Finding out who you are. Yeah, that's a great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's most important.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and that's something I think we've all learned throughout our journey through this awakening to this new reality is that the reason things didn't work out in the past, the stuff we used to like, the people we were attracted to, everything is because we didn't even know who we were. So how could you know that this person is your type, or that you like this style of music or whatever, until you really truly tap into who you are? You start seeing things for what they are, and your whole reality changes, and that's what we're all going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well.
Well said.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I guess, I don't know. I never know if this timer is accurate or not. How long have we actually been going?
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah, pretty close to an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on. Please, everyone, go check out her Facebook page, her website. Reach out to her, book a session, have her draw your angel, or whatever might show up.
Yeah, whatever other artwork you might be drawn to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, do you want to plug your stuff one last time? Just remind us one last time where to find you.
Yes, SusanWalterArt.com is where you'll find information about the angel portraits, the solfeggio frequencies, or any other of the meditative art that I've created and continue to work on. As I look across my big studio to the easel, it's calling me to do next.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, everyone, please go check that out. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was fun. You guys taught me some stuff too, so thank you.
Well,
thank you.
That's what it's about, really, I guess.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And just real quick, Aaron and I will be at Camp Disclosure at the end of August. It's a conference in Asheville, North Carolina, August 27th through the 31st. Tickets are on sale now. We will have a Journey to Truth Experiences lounge set up. We'll be doing a lot of cool stuff, giving away some free stuff, just talking with people, hanging out with fans, friends. James Gilland is going to be there. Simon Essler, Alex Bloom, Matthew Morning, Desiree Foley, Jace, and Alexis. There's a lot of people, a lot of familiar names speaking. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah, I was trying to look at my calendar to see if I could come to that too.
Yeah,
nice. It'd be fun.
It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, we'll have the link in the description below to the website where you can go purchase tickets and check it out and see if it's for you. But it seems like it's going to be really cool, and it's still developing and it's still a ways out. But yeah, check it out.
There are limited tickets also. I think
it's only going to be about 250, 300 people.
Well, it said 222 was the tickets originally, but they've already sold like 20 something.
Yeah.
So it's a little under 200 now.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you feel guided, go check it out. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks again, Susan, for coming on. This was really amazing. Thank you for what you do. And your art is beautiful.
Thank you.
And please feel free to share any new pieces with me or anything.
Okay.
I really think it's awesome. I really do.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Good afternoon. It's not. I can't say good night.
You can't say good night.
All right. Bye, guys.